Right now on the National Weather Desk, tracking Lee. We're keeping a close eye on the hurricane. Will it impact the United States?
It's all going to come down with the exact interaction between these two.
Assessing the damage. A week after heavy rain and floods, a look at the impact on California's all-important crops.
The floodwaters swept away the soil, completely ruining this crop.
And it's not just produce. Extreme weather is also taking a toll on theme parks. We'll show you the technology some schools are using to keep student athletes safe in the heat.
That will help me as an athletic trainer make the best decision for our kids.
And why it's never too soon to think about winter.
We're trying to make everything safe.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Stronger as it makes its way across the Atlantic Ocean this morning. It has maximum sustained winds of 80 miles per hour. But at this time tomorrow, it's expected to be a major hurricane with winds perhaps even over 110 miles per hour. Still very early, but for now, most models indicate Lee will not strike the United States. Meteorologist Ryan Mirando shows us why.
Lee is continuing to strengthen and intensify in the tropical Atlantic, and we're tracking it through every step of the way. And the way we really know that is from some of the steering forces that's out, and how the storm is interacting with them all depends on where it goes. So this is expected to head to the northwest through the tropical Atlantic, approaching the Leeward Islands over the next few days under the Bermuda High. And this trajectory looks like it'll make a direct impact with the East Coast. However, there's a trough that's also setting up over the eastern third of the U.S. This is going to act like a net that really catches Lee, and instead of continuing it on its track to the northwest, it shifts it a little bit farther to the north out over the sea. Now, it's all going to come down with the exact interaction between these two and how they set up the storm that was still several days away from making any kind of impacts in the U.S. So you do want to take this forecast and the track with a bit of a grain of salt. However, looking out over the European model and the GFS, the Europeans in green, it has it coming a little bit closer to the shoreline, where the American model pushes it a bit farther north. Still want to take these with a grain of salt. We'll continue to update as the data progresses.
Well, yesterday's weather felt like deja vu for people living in West Little Rock, Arkansas. Straight line winds damaged many homes, and people who live in the neighborhood said it felt like a repeat of that tornado that struck on March 31st. That twister was an EF3 with peak winds of 165 miles per hour. And Wednesday's storm wasn't nearly that strong or destructive, but there is damage. Thousands of homes and businesses could be without power for days. Desmond Nugent spoke with homeowners about the ordeal.
Large trees uprooted everywhere in West Little Rock. Some gas stations and businesses were temporarily without power, all due to straight line winds. Nearly 6 months ago, an EF3 tornado hit much of West Little Rock. Matthew Rood says his home wasn't damaged then, but it is now.
We got really close with the tornado. We saw it go over these houses right here, like just across the street from us. So we were really lucky and really thankful that we didn't get any damage from the tornadoes, but our luck kind of ran out. We got some damage, just nothing like too crazy.
Rood says a power line was pulled down in his backyard along with his fence and a blown out window.
This big tree fell, the gutter, about like 6 feet of the gutter, and a little bit of the roofing next to it got damaged.
Ashley Evans says she heard a loud noise working from home when the storm came through.
And then all of a sudden I heard glass shattering and what sounded like a tree coming through the roof. So I tried to just take cover after that because I didn't know what else was coming.
Evans says their neighborhood supported each other during the tornado and will do it again.
We were just a couple of blocks from the tornado last time and, wanted to help our neighbors as much as we can. Driving around, seeing the damage, it was just heartbreaking. And here again in the same neighborhood. But we rallied together before and we'll do it again.
Cleanup continues in Oklahoma City region after storms moved through Tuesday night. One family even saw a trailer fly into their home, injuring one person. Victor Park shows us some of the damage.
Well, believe it or not, the family tells me that trailer was sitting where that pickup truck you see over there was at. That trailer flew several feet and into that home you see right there. Miraculously, the family survived with minor injuries, they tell me. You could see some of them walking out. Those two were actually at the home at the time of that damage. You could see that trailer just flipped over on its roof, and the tires bent. Now they are dealing with the cleanup. They are dealing with insurance issues. This is not the only problem in this area. We've been hearing reports even on social media of people in this area, Lincoln County, describing that when like a tornado came through, but really a lot of tree limbs in the area, a lot of damage similar to this, some roofs torn off in other areas. So certainly a large cleanup mess that people have to deal with in this area.
In southern Brazil, an extratropical cyclone killed at least 21 people. Families were left stranded on roofs as floodwaters inundated their homes. Officials say it was the fourth severe weather event to hit the region since June. Damage was reported in at least 55 cities and towns. Well, in Southern California, farmers in the Coachella Valley continue to assess damage to their farms after last Friday's storm brought heavy rain and flooding. The full extent of the damage is still unknown, but as Jennifer Franco reports, the impact could be felt for years.
It's still alive. You can see the root system coming out of the plug, but it's struggling.
Adrian Zendejas is assessing the damage to an artichoke crop that's hardly recognizable.
Should look like that. And this is what we have.
Last Friday, this farmland was just one of the areas in the East Valley inundated with rain. The water came down fast, causing severe flooding in Thermal and surrounding communities. You can see this field is badly damaged from Friday's storm. The floodwaters swept away the soil, completely ruining this crop. The force so powerful, it snapped this irrigation pipe. The soil erosion is one of the biggest concerns.
You just can't replace that. That's their topsoil. That's what you used to grow. So it's going to be affect our crops, not just today, but in the years to come.
Some of the field at Rivera Ranch was left untouched, but it's just one example.
In the Oasis area, we have over 1,000 acres, and the majority of them took some damage.
Managing the situation hasn't been easy.
The heat, the rainfall, the erosion, just a lot of things that are going on at one time.
It's early in the planting season, but the damage will delay getting produce to market, not just locally, but around the country. Do you know, I guess, the total amount in damages, like what it's going to cost you?
We don't have a total number yet, but it's going to be very high.
One Canadian community is starting to come back to life following a major wildfire. People in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories started to return home on Wednesday after 3 weeks of evacuations. Juanita Taylor has more.
Flights are being chartered in from mostly Alberta. Others will be coming in from Manitoba and Yukon. The Northwest Territories government says it will fly people back over 5 days. People are also arriving on commercial flights. And residents also arrived on Highway 3. What was supposed to happen at noon local time happened an hour earlier when the barricades were removed, letting vehicles through. Some people slept in their cars last night at the checkpoint, anxious to be one of the first in line today.
We wanted to avoid the traffic. We thought it'd be a charade in here this morning. Because when we got evacuated, there was like 1,000 cars ahead of us.
Only about 100 vehicles were waiting in line at the time the road reopened, allowing for an orderly stream of traffic.
Extreme weather fueled by climate change is having a major impact on big theme parks. The largest theme park companies, Six Flags, SeaWorld, and Canada's Cedar Fair, all were upended by extreme weather this summer. They faced deadly flooding in the Northeast, record-breaking heat in the Southwest and in California, and wildfires in Canada. Now, Cedar Fair said Canadian wildfires and extreme heat in California lowered attendance by 300,000 visits during the last quarter. To cope with this new reality, theme parks are building more indoor rides and changing their ticket policies. Well, 1 in 5 Americans think climate change will make it more difficult to live in their area. That's according to a new USA Today Ipsos poll. The numbers are highest out west and lowest in the Midwest. And generally, nearly 40% of respondents say climate change is negatively impacting their everyday life. And about 20% don't know if climate change is actually happening. Well, coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how schools are handling extreme heat with students back in the classroom. And we'll find out why Nevada is already planning for the winter season.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We're tracking more heat and humidity in the Northeast today. 80s and 90s will be common for highs, and we'll have elevated humidity. The difference between today and yesterday will be the increased chance for thunderstorms, and that will be particularly late in the day. That's 6, 7 o'clock or so. We're seeing a lot of these showers and storms fire up. Some may become strong to severe. And that will be the rule on Friday as well. Friday's going to be another hot one with highs in the 80s to around 90 with a chance for afternoon thunderstorms.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Going to be starting off with a warm and sticky beginning on our Thursday area-wide. Up and down the 95 corridor, though, could get a little rough in the afternoon. Some strong storms breaking out with the approach of our next weather maker, which is a cold front. You can see those cooler temperatures west of the Appalachians. But on the east side, where we are, mid to upper 90s once again, gets cooler towards the weekend. That's the scene here.
Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs. I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed, looking at 90 degrees in Birmingham, 90 in Atlanta, Pensacola about 90 degrees, 93 Tampa, 91 in West Palm, a hot one in Raleigh at 97 degrees. Looking at plenty of sunshine mixed with a few clouds along the I-95 corridor. You get up around Nashville. It looks like by the afternoon we could get a few showers and thunderstorms over towards Knoxville and western portions of the mountain country. Also in southern Georgia, a little bit of shower activity along this frontal boundary as we get through the evening near Columbia, South Carolina as well.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
In 2021, Tropical Storm Fred caused catastrophic flooding in North Carolina. 6 people lost their lives, and now 2 years later, Rex Hodge reports there's still plenty of debris that needs to be removed.
We really have 2 phases.
Haywood County Manager Bryant Moorhead says the project is called the Emergency Watershed Protection Program.
Phase 1, think of it as more of like clearing and snagging. And then phase 2 requires a little bit more technical expertise, like some engineering, some back to stream bank stabilization.
It's work to clear the Pigeon River, especially in the Crusoe and Bethel areas, more than 2 years after Tropical Storm Fred swamped the area. This will add to work already done.
We did a lot of that right-of-way stream debris. We removed a lot of that, but this is a different pot of money, different regulations, and it's in the stream itself. We want to get the debris out of the stream to make it safe for not just the community, but also to protect the bridges and roads.
I think it's a great idea.
Crusoe resident Michael Henson's home was impacted by the flood.
You see a lot of debris, then the river's going to go different directions. Yeah. So I think we definitely need it cleaned out.
We're hoping that by the middle of October, we actually see truckloads of debris coming out of the stream.
This project comes with requirements to protect the elk toe mussel and a particular bat species.
It's adding a little bit of a delay in getting the permits and making sure that we're in compliance, but it's not stopping the project.
It's moving forward, Moorhead says, with clear goals.
Clean up the stream, make it safe for the folks in the community and downstream.
That means removing debris that can dam up water, creating more intense flooding.
Well, the extreme heat can be especially dangerous for student athletes, but some schools are now using technology to protect students, coaches, and staff. Daniel Burbank has the details.
Hurricane High School's football team is beating the heat inside. Practice was pushed back about 2 hours on Wednesday because of this heat stress tracker. It uses the wet bulb global temperature. The WBGT is a measurement of heat stress in direct sunlight. This includes temperature, humidity, wind speed, sun angle, and cloud cover.
That will help me as an athletic trainer make the best decision for our kids.
Athletic trainer Brian Sigmund says each tracker costs a few $100s.
I don't want it that much. I feel like it prepares us better, but at the end of the day, we got to listen to the trainer and make sure everybody's safe.
The West Virginia Secondary School Activities Commission used to recommend a heat index chart from the National Weather Service to determine when to practice in the heat. The heat stress tracker adds an extra mathematical formula.
This is basically a game changer when it comes to having a definite line of when to play and when not to practice.
Oh, absolutely.
Part of the legislation passed in 2022 requires sports programs to adopt guidelines based on the heat stress tracker.
It's extremely important. I mean, heat exhaustion, heat stress is extremely high this time of the year.
Hurricane says the team is always prepared for its next match, whether they're on the field or not.
Everybody's hype. I mean, we're at the beginning of the season. We know what we can do this season. Hopefully we can make it all the way. So everybody's just excited. Everybody's working hard.
Relief from the heat will arrive for some of you this weekend. One reason is a shift in air pressure. Now, you hear meteorologists often refer to high and low pressure systems. Well, meteorologist Marshall McPeak takes a closer look at how air pressure influences our weather.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Marshall McPeak. We talk about high and low pressure a lot when we're explaining how the weather works. In the northern hemisphere, the low pressure center turns counterclockwise, high pressure turns clockwise, and we see those move across the country all the time. The low pressure usually creating some inclement weather. But what's really happening there? So when we think about it, we don't really think much about the actual air, that it weighs anything. But it turns out there's a lot of air between where we're standing and space, and it weighs a whole lot. All of that air has mass, it has weight, and it's pushing down on us all the time. Gravity takes care of that for us. Our atmosphere weighs about 5.5 quadrillion tons. That's a lot. So there's a lot riding on our shoulders. It's very heavy out there, but we're used to it. We've grown up in it. We've lived in it forever, and so we don't really think much about it. But that air pressure pushes down on us all the time. It also affects the atmosphere. It creates a dome of high pressure that can often press down, keep the air from rising, and that's why we end up with sunny skies when we have high pressure. But with low pressure, then we get some air actually rising. There's not as much pressing down. So it rises, and then it can create showers and even thunderstorms, and that's usually associated with low pressure. We also get the air masses spinning around the low pressure. So anytime you see the big red L, there's a good chance that you're about to have some changes in the weather, likely even some inclement weather. The big blue H usually is going to mean some high pressure that gives us some very pleasant conditions. So the next time we're talking about all of this high and low, that's what we're watching on the maps and what you can watch for around your house as high and low pressure moves in and how it affects the weather in your neighborhood.
Pretty soon, leaves will start changing colors and falling, and then just around the corner, winter. Now, snow is already on the minds of Nevada's Department of Transportation as they complete their upgraded Avalanche Control system. Abigail Werevick has more on the improvements and why they're needed.
The decades-old Avalanche Control system near Mount Rose Summit is getting a facelift. On a road with thousands of drivers who cross the mountain highway every day, NDOT hopes the project will help shorten the time that crews stop traffic for Avalanche Control this winter. Over the years, replacements and maintenance have become more costly as the old technology is harder to find. This update will replace 3 of the system's major components: the storage building, the explosive control system, as well as the 3 cannons that explosives are shot from to reverberate and slew off the snow. In addition to updated equipment needed to keep roads safe, it will also provide better conditions for the crews that use them, like a leak detector to alert crews and dispatch if the oxygen is not safe. In operation since 1992, NDOT says this is an update that's long overdue.
You know, we're out here to do our job. We're trying to make everything safe. This new system should be night and day compared better than the old one. The cannons are completely different from what we have up there now.
So just how cold and snowy will the winter be? Meteorologist Matt Gunn looks at what some almanacs are saying about the upcoming winter in the Heartland.
Overall, the Farmer's Almanac winter forecast for the Heartland calls for a cold winter with average snowfall. Its prediction doesn't call for a big snowstorm until sometime in mid-January. The Heartland only has between a 26 and 40% chance for a white Christmas each year. This Farmer's Almanac also suggests that there may be some blizzards occurring around the start of March. Unlike its counterpart, this prediction does not provide specific times to expect the coldest temperatures of the winter to happen. It just suggests for people to be ready for a cold winter this time around.
And now time for a short break, but first we'll take flight over some farmers hard at work.
Well, a very good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. Still pretty hot down in Kansas, but the rest of the Midwest dealing with temperatures in the 70s and 80s and even a little cooler closer to the Great Lakes there with highs in the 60s. Moving forward into the day tomorrow, got a little bit of intermittent rain across part of the area like the Ohio Valley. By the time that we get to your Saturday, more rain moving in across the plains, including some thunderstorms, but a lot of sunshine across the Chicagoland area.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're starting off pretty warm and humid throughout most of Texas, but it's cool and drier as you're getting up in Oklahoma. Back over to Little Rock, got a little sunshine there and a little bit of a weak front pushing through. Doesn't look like it's going to do much. May fire up a few showers right up toward Louisiana, but for the most part, looks like it's going to be another hot summer day. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Hi, everybody. It is Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. We're slowly starting to cool out west as we head deeper into the month of September, but still plenty of triple-digit heat to be found, including an even 100 in Sin City, Las Vegas, and then back to 109, a sizzler out of Phoenix again. Boise back to 89, 70s for comfortable weather in the PNW there between Seattle and Portland. Not a lot going on, just a couple of sprinkles near the coast. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
It's been a summer of wild weather in the fall, but the fall foliage season is right around the corner. Meteorologist Christina Ernie recently posted on TikTok about what is needed for the leaves to have the best color.
Well, foliage season is quickly approaching, and no two seasons are the same. But in a perfect world, the ideal foliage comes from 5 factors. Warm and sunny days, cool and crisp nights, sufficient snowpack to actually insulate the plant over the winter time, seasonal rainfall, which means not too much and not too little. A drought will really hurt our foliage conditions, and too wet of a season also puts stress on our trees, and that dilutes the sugars, which means more of a pastel palette to our colors. And finally, limited storms in the fall. If we get a big storm that takes down a lot of our leaves with high winds, then goodbye to all of our foliage early in the season.
We love to connect with you. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk, or you can scan the QR code at the bottom left corner of your screen. We'll be right back. Well, thanks for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at why warmer weather fueled by climate change is forcing some apple growers to change their planting methods. I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie. Make it a great Thursday. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.